Hey guys, welcome to the CO Visit. Colin here once again, and always with my trusty coffee. I appreciate you clicking on this video. Welcome, and just thank you in general. Thank you for being here, supporting the CO Visit, and if you haven't already, like and subscribe. That helps the channel, and thanks for any other type of support as well. I really do appreciate it. So, what I wanted to talk about today, interesting analysis. Because I saw on jw.org, they put up this video, and well, it's kind of like an audio that you can listen to about this gentleman, Boothroyd, by the last name of Boothroyd, who was, according to what they say, a self-made Bible scholar, which isn't true. There's so many lies in that. He's not self-made. The guy had studies. He went to schools. He was an ordained minister. Okay. You know, they're trying to justify, Russell and not knowing anything and all of that. Okay. Just going off the cuff and making everything up. No. But all that's irrelevant. What the whole thing focuses on is that this guy, back in England, way back in the day, long time ago, 1800s, created his own translation of the Bible, and according to what they say, restored God's true name and the original name and all of that. So, of course, back again, once again, the governing body, Watchtower, doubling down on insisting on using a name that we know is not true, which is Jehovah. They insist on using Jehovah. And why? Why do they keep insisting? Why have they always insisted, ever since Russell, on using the name Jehovah when it is demonstrably not an original pronunciation of the divine name? Not even close. In fact, we know exactly where Jehovah came from, which is what I'm going to read you guys today. So this is called, I got this information, if you want to look it up, it's in the link below as well, the verse by verse ministry.org, verse by verse ministry.org, where they, it's an organization where they, study the Bible and verses of the Bible and history and linguistics and all that kind of stuff. So this particular article is about this fictitious made-up name of Jehovah. This is history. We know this, guys. So I don't understand why the Watchtower organization continues to insist on the pronunciation of Jehovah. Russell probably did it because the Bible that he would have had back in his days, okay, which would have been either the American Standard Version or the English Revised Version. There was the English Revised Version of 1885, and then the American Standard Version of 1901 used the name Jehovah. But where did that come from? Okay, let's read this. This is what it reads. I'm just going to read it textually here. I wrote it all down. So please listen to this information. Jehovah's Witnesses. If you are an active Jehovah's Witness, please listen to this. And if you're sitting on the fence and not sure, please listen to this. So it says the following. As modern scholars began to study the name of God, they noticed that the pronunciation of Jehovah, in parentheses, or quotation marks, I should say, quotation marks, posed a problem. In ancient Hebrew writing, there is no J sound, J sound, okay? The V in Jehovah is rendered from the W in YHWH as the Hebrew letter Vav. After more linguistic study of the ancient Hebrew, YHWH is said to have originally had a pronunciation closer to W than the V as shown in Jehovah. If we followed the rules mentioned, we end up with Jehovah. Since the Hebrew manuscripts didn't have vowels, a group of Jewish scribes in the medieval times, when were they brought in? The medieval times, known as the Masoretes, were brought in to apply vowel symbols to the traditional consonantal text. So, how did ancient scribes adopt Jehovah as the chosen name for God? Over centuries, the original Hebrew text of the Old Testament was translated into different languages, resulting in YHWH reading as JHVH. And the Masoretes of the Middle Age added vowels to the consonants. Simply put, Jehovah is a Latinization of the Hebrew Yahweh, not I'm sorry, Yahweh. See, it's so hard from English. Okay, we have that pronunciation. Hebrew does not have that. So, Jehovah is a Latinization of the Hebrew Yahweh. One vocalization of YHWH. Interestingly enough, the term Jehovah is less than 700 years old. How old? Less than 700 years old. Jehovah became increasingly used in early English translations. Tyndale, the Geneva Bible, and others use the term Jehovah occasionally to represent the Hebrew name YHWH. The term occurs only 4 times in the King James Version of the Bible. A mixture of Jehovah and Lord remained consistent in most English translations. The English Revised Version of 1885 and the American Standard Version of 1901 choose Jehovah as its standard rendering of YHWH, a name it uses over 6,800 times. It is also used and strongly promoted by Jehovah's Witnesses. With that said, some argue that the name Jehovah is a more literal term for God's name. However, we disagree. We have observed that the term Jehovah is neither original to the Bible, and it is simply inaccurate to use an English transliteration of a Hebrew word that was never intended to be pronounced in the first place. Nevertheless, there is no reason to argue or debate with others in the church on the, in quotation marks, correct pronunciation of God's name, as we today cannot be certain of the original vowels used in the original Hebrew YHWH. Moreover, it is far more important to know God through faith in His Son, Jesus Christ, than to know the original pronunciation of the original name of God. As the writers of the Bible were divinely inspired by the Holy Spirit, we can rest assured that the adopted generic text of God's name in different languages is acceptable, as we see in today's Bibles. For example, English, Lord or Lord, all in capital letters, and God. Hebrew, YHWH, Adonai, and Elohim. Greek, Theos, and Kurios. So there you have it, folks. Okay, and there are many other citations and many other places you can go online to find information exactly like this. Okay, we know exactly when and we know exactly who developed the name Jehovah, as we pronounce it in English, for English, and it comes from Latin. That's where you get the J sound, the J sound. Less than 700 years ago. So why, governing body, why Watchtower, do you insist on this being the only and the true pronunciation if it was made up by men? It was made up by men, Masoretic Jews that were brought in by the church, the Catholic Church. At the very best, all you can say is that that is just one possible pronunciation that you can use, the same as any other one. You can say Yahweh, you can say Jehovah, you can say Lord, you can say Adonai, you can say Elohim, you can say Theos, Kurios. It's all the same. Nobody knows what the vowels were in ancient Hebrew. That was thousands of years ago. Thousands of years before Masoretic Jews created the name Jehovah. And I think the most important thing out of this whole thing that I read, that they say so beautifully, is that nobody should be arguing about this. Nobody should be debating about what the correct name of God is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If it were important, God would have put it in the Bible, clear for us to pronounce. What is important, as it says here, what is far more important is to know God through faith in his Son, Jesus Christ. That's what the Bible teaches us. Read it in the New Testament. Okay? We don't know the Father, but we have the Son who explains him to us. Do I need to say any more? Is it any clearer than that? Can it be any clearer than that? Thank you for watching this video, guys. I hope this was eye-opening for you. I hope this made sense to you and you receive it and understand that this is the truth, not what Jehovah's Witnesses are teaching. Okay, be blessed, and I'll see you in the next one.